life, the bright lights, the type the crowd likes. Where you at, ballers? Ladies love me and men, they wanna be me, they pay to come see me. Where you at, ballers?
Pistons at Knicks, 7:30, Madison Square Garden in New York. A top lean in this game, under 206.5. This is the third matchup this year between these two teams. And bizarrely, all three are being played in New York City. We're not entirely sure why, but we see the line scaling down off two totals before that finished at 230 and 224 to an opening line of 207.5, indicating a game played under 190 points. The Knicks have been missing Julius Randle for a while and OG Anunoby, and this team really just sucks the life out of the game. Tom Thibodeau and these boys play a style of basketball rare in today's game. Very much throwback to the mid-90s. The Knicks have the last pace in the league. They are shooting bottom 20% in the league. And a young Detroit team that cannot score the ball very well will play down their pace, and the ability to score will be very difficult. Expect a tight game, under 200 points tonight. Top lean in this game, under 206.5. Let's dominate.
Hornets at Cavs. Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Monday, March 25th with another free pick. This is just a lean, not an official. It's the under 205.5 in this Cavs Hornets game. Two teams that are just really hard to watch right now. The Hornets are averaging 94.5 points per game in their last five. The Cavs are averaging 106 points per game since the All-Star break, where they're 7-11. Their offense just has no pop without Donovan Mitchell. And even though if you look at the injury report, it says he's dealing with a nasal fracture, if you listen to their reporters, even if his nose is fine, his knee ain't. So he's actually resting his knee. His nasal fracture is just more problems on top of the ones they already have. But as far as this specific game, I haven't made it an official because I'm not sure the numbers I'm looking at are real. Like, the Cavs have been struggling offensively, but look at their strength of schedule. They've played some of the toughest defenses in the league in the last 2 weeks. So I need to dig into the numbers a little bit deeper to see if it's because of strength of schedule or it's just they're just playing poorly. Same thing goes on the flip side for the Hornets. The Hornets defense, by the way, has been slightly better than the Cavs since the All-Star break. Now that is for real, which is another reason why I lean towards the under. You're talking about a span of almost 20 games now where the Hornets have been playing much better defense than the standards that they've set for the season. So most of what I've seen in terms of the research that I've done lead me to the under 205.5. But before I can get to the window and invest, still got some more research to do. So heavy lean to the under 205.5. Let's catch another ticket, y'all.
Nets at Raptors, 7:30 p.m. Scotiabank Arena in Toronto. A top lean on this game, Brooklyn -5. This is the third matchup of the year between these two bottom feeders, and this is really bottoming out for both teams. Brooklyn is currently on a 6-game losing streak, and Toronto has lost 10 straight games. Both teams just getting ready for the offseason and really trying to look forward to more success next year and going forward. As I mentioned, third matchup of the year. The line here is telling us a heavy Brooklyn story. Back on February 22nd, Toronto, in a rare showcase of some quality, did blow out Brooklyn at home in Toronto, 121-93. Key point there, Toronto was favored -1. Same gym, just over a month later, Brooklyn -5.5 at open, suggesting Brooklyn to win by 12 points. Toronto is 0-4 last 4 ATS at home, losing by an average margin in those games of by 26.3 points per game. The team is purely uncompetitive at this point. If you guys want to bet this game, it is a bottom feeder special. Buy the Brooklyn side at -5, and let's cash this ticket.
Celtics at Hawks. Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Monday, March 25th with another free pick. I'm rocking with the Celtics team total over 61.5 in the first half. Let me give you guys a couple of numbers just to make it make sense. Celtics averaged 63 points in the first half on the road. Celtics averaged 63 points in the first half at home. It don't matter where they're at. their first half offense is unstoppable. They're by far the best first half team in this league. And the Hawks roster, as presently constructed, is just devoid of talent, in my opinion, to be able to keep up with the Celtics the way they're playing right now. Since the All-Star break, they're 14-2, tied with Denver for the best record, and they're scoring an insane 128 points per 100 possessions. The Hawks are just not going to be able to keep up with that. These teams have played twice already this season. The first time, it was played at a really, really slow pace, similar to what the Hawks have been playing like since Trae Young went down. And the second time, it was played at a breakneck speed, which is similar to what the Hawks played like pre-Trae Young injury. Did not matter how they played, the result was the same. First half, in the first game, Celtics scored 69. First half, in the second game, the Celtics scored 71. It's just what they do. So give me the Celtics, a team that's rolling, a team that's like a runaway freight train going downhill, against a Hawks team that's going nowhere fast. This latest injury to Jalen Johnson, I think, is just too much for them to overcome against the Celtics roster. It looks like Jaylen Brown's available, looks like Jason Tatum's available, which seals the deal for me. Give me the Celtics first half team total over 61.5. Let's start the week off right and cash another ticket, y'all.
Wizards at Bulls, 8 o'clock, United Center, Chicago, Illinois. A top lean in this game, Chicago minus 12. Chicago remains at home off a loss against Boston on Saturday night, to where they have performed great all year. Staying at home off a prior home non-cover, Chicago is 6-2 ATS. This is a great spot to fade Washington, who comes in here on a 2-game outright winning streak, having caught Sacramento at home in a slumber zone game for Sacramento and beating bottom feeder Toronto in their previous game. Washington has only won 13 games this year, and they've only won back-to-back games 2 other times. Off of those consecutive wins, they are 0-2 ATS in the following game, with margin losses against the Clippers and Memphis. These teams did play recently in Chicago on Saturday, March 16th, and Chicago was laying a similar figure, a very heavy line for a Chicago team that truthfully is not laying big figures to many teams. That particular game, Chicago 127, Washington 98, and now we're seeing a heavier line, suggesting another blowout tonight. If you guys want to bet this game, bet Chicago at minus 12, and let's dominate.
Suns at Spurs. Junior Brown back here with NBA Shot Clock on this Monday, March 25th with another free pick. We're rocking with the Suns, minus 11.5. I took the Suns on Saturday and taking them again today. These teams are playing back-to-back games against each other, and this is less based on analytics and more based on what I just saw watching the game. And that's, there's no defense, especially if you're Victor Wembanyama, for Kevin Durant and Devin Booker's medium range game. In the first half of that game, they just kept killing them in the medium range, which Victor can't defend unless he's going to guard one of them straight up, which he can't do at this point in his career. That's the strategy for them. I think that unless San Antonio makes a high volume of threes, which is how they were able to pick up wins against Phoenix in the beginning of the season, because these two teams played back-to-back games in like the first week of the season. Unless the Spurs are making a high volume of threes, which the Suns seem to have figured out, they just can't compete. So this is just me picking the much better team, a team that's desperate to make the playoffs, because even getting into the play-in is a disaster for the Suns. They don't make the first round of the playoffs as a top 8 seed. This entire thing has been an unmitigated disaster. So I think the sense of urgency for the Suns is much higher than people realize. So give me the team with motivation against an inferior team in a spot where they just did this on Saturday. They will do it again today. I don't see anything that's going to change. It wasn't some kind of crazy strategy. It was 2 of the best medium range shooters in the league sticking to what they do and putting these boys to bed early. Give me the Suns minus 11.5. Let's cash another ticket, y'all.
Blazers at Rockets, 8 o'clock, Toyota Center, Houston, Texas. 2 leans in this game. Portland plus 11 and the over 221. Portland comes into tonight's game on a 6-game outright losing streak. However, 3-3 ATS in that sample, showcasing scrappiness with a very young roster who did start 5 rookies and in a cover against Denver at home in their previous game. Houston is 8-0 straight up last 8, 10-1-1 ATS last 12, scorching hot at the back end of an elongated homestand. There's a trap element to this game, a look ahead. Houston does play a huge revenge game on the road at Oklahoma City on Wednesday night. This is the 3rd matchup of the year between these two teams, and the road team is 2-0 ATS, with Portland winning outright in Houston at a +9 figure on January 24th. We expect another tight game and the road ATS domination to continue here, with more points being scored, with a Houston team playing at a higher rate of pace without Şengün in the lineup. Take the over at 221 and take the Blazers at +11. 2 leans on NBA Shot Clock. Leans for every game. Let's dominate.
Pacers at Clippers. Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Monday, March 25th with another free pick. Rocking with the Pacers +6. I'm trying my hardest really to not go on a rant about these damn Clippers. A team that like 2 months ago I said, if the playoffs started today, I'd probably pick them to make the finals. Well, things done change, kids. We ain't picking this team to go nowhere. And things can change again, because you know that once the playoffs start, some players do have the ability to flick that switch. Here's my problem with the Clippers. Other than Kawhi Leonard, who has a history of performing well in the playoffs? So the fact that leading into the playoffs, they're playing some of their worst basketball of the season is super alarming, especially because it's not an X's and O's thing. It's an effort thing. Just go back and watch that game yesterday against the 76ers. The Sixers wanted it more than the Clippers. It's just that simple. You had Cameron Payne out here talking trash like he's nice like that. Like, it was crazy to watch. And this has been going on since the All-Star break. I kept thinking that, tired legs, they just need to flip the switch after a layup. And this is bullshit. This team is just not built like that today, right now. And just to prove my point, the makeup of their roster would lead you to believe that they're a good defensive team, which they were before the All-Star break. Since the All-Star break, where they're 8-9, they're 26th on defense. So I'm taking the points of the Pacers tonight simply because I don't think that the Clippers can get enough stops to cover a 6-point spread. And by the way, the Pacers these days have been playing defense. Their defense is much better than it was pre-All-Star break. So watch out for the Pacers. Give me Indiana +6. Let's cash another ticket, y'all.
Grizzlies at Nuggets, 9 o'clock. Denver, Colorado, a top lean in this game, under 214.5. 3rd matchup of the year between these two teams, splitting the previous two, an under in October and an over in Denver on December 28th. A game Denver shot over 55% from the field and was scorching hot from the 3-point line to score 142 points in a blowout 37-point win. Let the number and the sports books tell you a story. That game went way over, 222.5. Now we come back, same gym, a few months later, and the line comes down to 214.5, suggesting a game played right around 206 points. Memphis has had a year to forget. Injuries, suspensions, so many moving parts on their roster, and what has really come to fruition for this group is a solid defensive model, a sustainable model under coach Taylor Jenkins, but an offense that cannot score the ball. Memphis is last in the league in points per game, field goal percentage, and offensive rating. And as I mentioned, the previous game was a massive shooting outlier by Denver. Take the under tonight at 214.5, a top lean in this game, and let's cash this ticket.
Sixers at Kings. Junior Browne back with NBA Shot Clock on this Monday, March 25th with another free pick. And we're rocking with the Kings team total over 115.5. Straightforward spot for me. The Kings average over 120 points per game at home, so this 115.5 was always a number that I was probably going to get involved with. I understand the Sixers are playing a little bit better, but they're still ranked 22nd in defense since Embiid went down. So they've been better, But there was a time for the first 20 games that Embiid was out where they were like a bottom 5 defense. So yes, they've improved, but they're still not great. And by the way, this is a revenge spot for the Kings, who got blown up by 20 in Philly, a game that Embiid did not play in, and they put up their worst offensive performance of the season. Shot 34% from the field. They were absolutely horrendous. All I'm asking the Kings to do is come home, play average in a situation where they're fighting for their playoff lives, because of all the teams that have been talked about who might be in the play-in spot, the Kings would be by far the weakest. I know they've been better than Golden State and the Lakers throughout the course of the season. They basically own the Lakers, but that playoff pressure is something different. They want to win and get in. The 6th seed means a lot to this team. I expect them to bring their A game. They're a team that covers the spread 65% of the time when they have a rest advantage, which is the case tonight. I'm not willing to lay 9 points with a defense that's this poor, but I am willing to invest in their offense. So give me the Kings team total over 115.5. Let's cash another ticket, y'all.
Mavericks at Jazz, NBA shot clock, Monday, March 25th, 2024. Best bet of the day, Utah plus 8.5. Utah comes into tonight's game 0-5 straight up, 1-4 ATS last 5. A statistical buy low, returning to where they have performed great at home all year. Despite their recent struggles, this team is still 4-3 ATS, last 7 at home. Very easily could have been 5-2, if not for an egregious backdoor against Minnesota last week. Dallas comes into tonight's game in a trap spot. Game 1 of a 4-game trip, front end of a back-to-back, having to play a national game, a revenge game at Sacramento tomorrow night. Dallas did just hammer the Jazz at home on March 21st on a strong line, minus 13.5, which we did play officially on NBA Shot Clock last week. Now we expect a reversal to what we saw on January 1st in Utah, a Utah home cover. As I mentioned, minus 13.5 in the most recent game. This opened up at minus 8, notably short, expecting a game played inside of 5 points tonight. The best bet of the day on this beautiful Monday, Utah plus 8.5. Let's cash this ticket.